Good evening and welcome to the December 13th, 2016 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with the Township policy.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Here.
Ms. Winterfield?
Here.
Mayor Cole?
Here. Next on the agenda is presentations, and there's no presentation scheduled for the evening. Reports from volunteers. At this time, are there any reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community? Mr. Spazieri.
Frank Spazieri, 35 Avenue, and Vice Chair of the Open Space Committee. Just so you people know, the new slate for next year will be the same as it is this year. Joe Wells will be Chairman. I will be Vice Chair in charge of Vice. And Robin Jones will be the Secretary. We had our meeting last night with the Pinto Group, and we're going to come out with some maps in prelude to doing the Riverwalk, so that people can peruse and see what we're trying to do with benches and picnic tables and that kind of stuff. So I'd just like to the public, we need some new people on the Open Space Committee. We have a couple of openings, so anybody out there that wants to join the Open Space Committee, you know, put your request into Carol, and hopefully the council will approve you and put you on our committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any of it? Mr. Hardacre.
Ken Hardacre here with the Flood Advisory Committee. I just wanted to update the council real quick. The app is done. There's one piece that's being worked on pertaining to the phone being able to take pictures of people's possessions, and then there'll be a drop down that'll allow them to put in information about that item. So if there's ever a flood, there'll be a repository for all of their possessions somewhere safe. But the app itself is complete. I just do not want to go live with it without either the town council or an act by you guys, whatever's necessary, to say, yes, go ahead, because it does have the township's logo.
Can you send me an email with a link to the app? And does it work on, is it just phone?
Yeah, we did at the meeting the other night, the Flood Advisory Committee, we loaded up on both Apples and Android, so it will load on either one.
And like iPads and other devices?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just tried it up here. It does work. You just need to know that.
And remember, that's an application. Right now, you're looking at it through Preview. That's
Right.
not how it's. You're
So you
getting
go-
in the back end.
If you have an Apple, you go to the Apple Store, you download Preview app,
Yeah.
and then it's Flood Committee, all one word, we said?
Yes.
One's all one word and one's got.
For the user ID and no password. So, but he'll send it again.
You gonna send it to all of us, Ken?
Yeah, I could. Well, I'll send it to Dave, and then he can disseminate it out to you guys.
Whichever is fine.
Yeah, I just want to get it done and get it live, but I'm not going to do that until I get permission from you guys to go ahead. Good. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Steve?
No, you go.
Louise?
Trying to be polite. Hi, Louise Marchese, 16 Roland Road, 30 years now. The flood committee met last Thursday, and we're in the process of putting together a public event. And at the event, one of the things that we'll be doing is Ken will give a presentation of that app, along with updating the community on, many things, the elevations, FEMA, insurance, etc.
What's the date of that, please?
I just set the date today. The public event will be on Monday, April the 24th.
Oh, so I could.
Yeah, I just said it today. And the Economic Development Committee also met, and we're in the process of putting together goals for the coming year. And one of the things that was discussed was possible changes that could be made in zoning in an effort to get more businesses to come into town. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
It's been a while since I've come up here to talk to you guys.
So you're not nervous, are you?
Oh, well, a little bit. So,
Yeah, name and address.
do I need name and address for that? Okay, Stephen Connolly, 44 Duncan Avenue. Now, it's been a while since I've talked to you guys, so I feel maybe it could be a good time to restate our mission. I don't want to take up a lot of time here. And I also want to give you some update on what we've done over the past year. So let me just start with the mission. A playground is usually a centerpiece in a park. They've long been accepted in parks and have, if anyone doesn't know, we're from the skate park committee. They've long been accepted in parks and have developed neuromotor skills in young children and aid their early development, but little if nothing is provided for older children and adolescents in Pequannock to support their development outside organized team sports, which may not always be beneficial due to a strong emphasis on winning, and therefore many lose interest in these activities at adolescence. You can see this in high participation in early youth programs provided through the Parks and Rec, and drop off in participation as kids enter into their teen years. Recreation has long been recognized as a tonic for many social ills. It can provide meaning, satisfaction, and a sense of belonging, help develop social skills and self-esteem, relieve stress, anxiety, and aggression, and generally promote both physiological and psychological well-being. Unfortunately, many seem to have no knowledge or of concern for many positives that a skate park provides, and often only seem to look at building a skate park in response to nuisance street skating. However, an unprecedented number of skate parks are now being constructed around the country, and especially here in New Jersey. Since we started this process a year ago, we've seen new skate parks emerge in Bayonne, New Brunswick, Ocean City, Long Branch, Fanwood, Plainfield, Maplewood, Asbury Park, Hillsborough, which recently doubled its skate park size with, this sounds like it's,
It's in the
okay.
microphone and speakers.
Hillsborough recently doubled its skate park size with a recently opened concrete bowl, and Nyack, which built a concrete park, has been embraced by the town. And now Wayne is even talking about building one. These parks have been successful. They're not the graffiti-ravaged back parking lot, wood ramp, poorly planned and poorly conceptualized parks that you see in Mawa or West Milford. They are centerpieces of their parks departments. They were carefully planned, and if you talk to any of the Parks and Rec managers or police from the towns, they will attest to that. So overall, skate parks have proven to reduce juvenile crime, reduce teen drug use, and they create constructive, healthy, safe spaces for kids to recreate. A skate park in Pequannock would do just that. It would be a location for teens to gather, all teens. We have had many conversations with Randy Chamber, who has attended a few skate park committee meetings on how we can bridge the local teen music community and skateboarders and even BMXers. We have concluded in these conversations that this part of Washington Park should be encompassing and an active teen-based park. A skate park with a music stage built within or adjacent to is just one of the ideas. It would be an open space for kids to create their own healthy, constructive environment. And we need this. Currently, we have a heroin epidemic of historic proportions. We all know it. and we need to do something at the local level. We have to stop waiting, and we have to provide it for we have to provide it, these kids with a place. So with that, I just want to give you an overview of what we've done in 2016. As you know, we've acquired and moved $70,000 approximately worth of granite donated by Nike SB and Game 7 Marketing to Pequannock Business, Morris Industries, and they're donating their space to store it. We also formed a nonprofit called the Pequannock Skate Park Association and held a few fundraisers and plan to hold more once we have a design finalized. We set up a mobile skate spot at this year's street fair behind the stage in the back of the Little Food Inn. It was hard to see, but it was successful. Jordan, Steve Wolf, who's the founder of Solid Foundation, and myself, along with the help of Councilman Winterfield and Mayor Cole, met with State Assemblyman Scott Romana to see about changing the liability laws in New Jersey. Currently, laws apply to skateboards as a vehicle, but we all know it's more than that. We believe that the state laws should be protecting municipalities from possible lawsuits. Pequannock is already protected and insured with the Morris County Joint Insurance Fund, also known as the JIF, but we also have to comply with the JIF's regulations, which does add cost, such as specific height and fencing. But we want the ability for all towns in New Jersey to be unfettered from the laws and have the ability to build skate parks without fear of any lawsuits. This has been done successfully in Florida, Alabama, California, Indiana, North Carolina, Texas, Washington, and Oregon. Before Scott left office, he did submit a bill on our behalf for review. We want to pursue it further with Scott's replacement, Kevin Rooney. Also, Jordan participated in the 2016 Northeast Skate Park Development Summit this summer, hosted by the Village of Nyack and the Tony Hawk Foundation. And lastly, we submitted our wish list and recommendation to David Holberg for creation of the RFP, which has been budgeted, and we've been waiting for the RFP since July. So with that, I'd like to ask Dave how that's going.
Good progress. I've been working with Joe Golden to finalize it. On initial run through, he believed that the cost of the RFP was going to be significantly more than the amounts that had been identified by a couple of vendors that you'd spoken to. So, we've been working to make sure that the RFP that we eventually put out is going to be supported by the budget that we have, and that we've identified specifically those components of the skate park that are, within Washington Park we have a master plan, which includes things like parking and other things. So there are some improvements that would occur in Washington Park regardless of whether skate park is going to be there or not. So to make it as clear as possible which costs are related to the engineering and the construction of the skate park, we've spent a fair amount of additional time making sure that the RFP is clear and concise. I think this is in the benefit of both the township, both budget-wise, and the committee in terms of trying to move the project forward. So. It's not that we haven't been making progress, we have. It's just some of the initial feedback we got was not in alignment with what some of the numbers that we saw initially. So
Feedback from
engineering firms.
Okay. Engineering firms that specialize in skate parks or in remediation or in water
Joe,
issues?
through his contacts, which includes some engineers who do specifically skate parks.
Okay. Can later tell me who they are?
I would be happy.
Okay. Thanks. So do we have like a guide, like any kind of timeline when?
I'm hoping that within the next week or so.
Okay.
Our Annex had a slight technological setback with a virus late last week, which we lost a couple days, but we spent quite a bit of time on it within the last week, 2 weeks. So we're close.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other volunteers? The next item on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period of public comment is reserved for later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. Tom Andrea, 6 Elm Road, Pompton Plains. I understand and I'm pushing for a youth member on the Environmental Commission. That person has changed, but now, thanks to my son, he's a candidate for that spot too. I've been going back and forth with Carol and annoying her about this, so since our attorney, Bob Oosdike, is here, I figured I'd bring it up with him too. Bob, what I see looking at all the state statutes and our local laws, there is no age description for a member of the Environmental Commission.
There is no age, really there is no age description for any of the statutory committees. Nowhere does it say over 18 for full membership. There is no age in any of the statutes.
So couldn't it be just up to the mayor's discretion to appoint somebody under 18 to the Environmental Commission?
We can certainly do that, and we've done that, I think, as a youth member.
For Parks and Rec.
For Parks and Rec, we've done it.
But for Parks and Rec, we did spell out, we did put it in the ordinance that, you know, all these different things, but I don't know if we have to do that for the Environmental Commission. And now I'm just speaking as a citizen, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Environmental Commission. We have our meeting Wednesday, and I haven't had a chance to bring all this up. But, you know, it's just things I want to try and get straightened out now before your reorg meeting in January.
I think we are.
We're
I think
gonna
the
do a
plan is to do a
resolution.
resolution to do that.
Yeah.
But do you have to do a resolution? Couldn't you just appoint that youth member as, say, an
Desire was
alternate?
to add a youth member, and that would require a resolution because we're adding a member to that.
The only thing, the statutes for the Environmental Commission are very well defined.
Yeah.
And you can't add another member. You know, you have 7 regular members and 2 alternates. If you add a youth member, it doesn't line up.
You can add a youth member as a, a secondary member. It wouldn't be a voting member, it would be an attending member. You're right.
And there's attending, well,
You know.
you don't even need an attending member, you don't
Anybody
even have
could
to be
just
on.
attend if they wanted
Right,
to. This would give
exactly.
it some formality. I think that was the thought.
Yeah, you know, could it be instead of going through this formality, which doesn't do anything for the person who's applying for this position, to just leave it as a
Regular member.
regular member?
Right, let
I
me
don't
ask,
see why not.
yeah, let me ask you a question. Do we have that many people applying to the economic, or
Or environmental
the
commission.
environmental?
I don't know, what do you have?
We have an open spot, so.
Where's the big
Right now,
deal?
there's one open spot.
Well, I think they want to segregate the youth member
We don't
to limit
want-
them, but
You
I
don't
don't,
have to, Tom.
I agree, that's why, that's,
Well, that's
Have
the,
someone that's gonna
There's
say-
no age, there's no age set, so
you know, it's a mayoral appointment.
We gave them till the end of the week, so.
It's a mayoral appointment, so I would leave it up to the discretion of the mayor. Do you want this person on the Environmental Commission? If he's under 17 or under 18 and you feel comfortable with that, say yes. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just say no, and that's okay too.
That's a great
But just
suggestion.
leave it up to the mayor.
I think he has a good mentor.
Thank you. No, but I'm just looking for down the road too, because I want to get this done right now, because once it's done, you're not going to be able to undo it. It's going to be pulling teeth.
well, that's right. An appointment, you mean, once you make an
Right.
appointment, it really.
Well, not the appointment, I mean, once you do the resolution. I'm saying you don't need a resolution. I'm saying you can just leave it up to the mayor to appoint the Environmental Commission
I think
member.
it's a great idea.
And I think getting younger people involved is
It makes it
right,
easier.
And there's no state statutes either, or state statutes or local statutes anywhere that says
It has to be-
anything about
it has to be
age.
over 18. There's, yeah, there, at some point, but for any of our boards or commissions, it's a good question. I looked at
I mean,
planning board.
my only concern is that we've done it, the other
Parks and
youth,
Rec.
Yeah,
right,
as a-
we did it as a resolution. Now we're saying, oh, for the one
Yeah,
who
but
doesn't,
environmental is
you know.
statutory.
Yeah, it's a statutory.
This is a different
it's a
kind of board.
Right.
You wouldn't want to set a precedent that someone
And what's your age then?
age
16,
14 puts
15?
up to.
Well, then it's up to the mayor.
But it's,
How do you-
right,
Right.
exactly, Tom hit it right on the head, it's up to the mayor, and I'm sure
Right.
the mayor takes the other council members' opinions into consideration.
I
Right.
think it just makes it
Yeah,
easier.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't
the mayor's
think
gonna
you need a
appoint somebody
special
who's
resolution.
old.
Right, I agree.
I think we're smart enough.
I agree. You know, and I trust your judgment too, whether it's yes or no,
What's your feeling?
fine.
It doesn't matter.
I think you can do it that way if that's what you want to do.
Okay, so let's see what applications come in by Friday, and
We'll
if
decide.
he's the only application.
Right, then it's
We'll see if
easy.
we
Then you decide what you want to do, and you
If you
don't
want
have,
to do that and want to add, you would just add somebody that doesn't, a non-voting member. Because Tom's right, it's a statutory committee, so you can't add voting members. You can't go beyond.
no,
So
right.
what's the sense of having somebody who's just you
wants to
can't
sit
vote,
there,
you
you
can't
can't
do
vote.
anything, what's the sense?
So
You
Exactly.
come to the meeting, you might as well just
So
go to
he
the
would be
meeting.
a voting.
Right, that's the exact, that's how I
Let
feel
him be
too.
a voting member.
Right.
I think it's fine.
It's good to get our young people involved in
I
stuff
agree.
like this.
So here's the question, if we have someone that's qualified, that puts their application in, are we gonna take it, we're gonna pick between that person or a youth
Well,
person?
we're gonna have to read it.
Yeah, you read it and you make your decisions.
But,
Just if you had,
I mean, if we have a qualified person for it, and we still wanna put the
youth,
youth
We
on,
can
why
do
couldn't we
that
do
too.
that?
We
Right,
You
you
could.
can.
You could.
there's no
Well, the
difference.
mayor, yeah.
An appointment or a request for appointment is the same, no matter who it comes from. It's up to the mayor's good judgment who he wants to put on that board or commission, or
He
commission
or
in this
she.
case.
Or
He or she, sorry, thank you.
Gotta correct you on these things.
Yes, keep me straight.
But again, I think it's a great idea, I think that, the
I think it
future-
makes it easy.
Right,
They call
it's
it
an
easy
easy,
now.
it's an easy one.
Okay.
We don't need more
We'll have to see
resolutions
what
and more,
comes
more
Yeah.
things.
Right, see what comes in, and then it's up to the mayor, he or she.
Oh, by the way, I'm gonna ask my mother to be on the committee.
That would be excellent. I think we have 2 open spots, so really, we'd love to have her. All right, thank you all for your indulgence, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else, public? Jordan? I'm getting so much better at these names.
Jordan Galliano, Tempe Avenue, Pompton Plains. First of all, I'd like to apologize for not being in attendance for the past few meetings. Had a rough couple of past few months, busy with work and such. But I would like to thank you all very much for dealing with Steve and I on the issue of getting the skate park in town. We are a little concerned with the speed that has been taking place with the RFP in town. And I know that Steve and I have emailed you, Mr. Hallberg, a few times, and we were concerned because we never got a few responses. And since October, we did hear from you saying that you would have the RFP done by October, and it wasn't finished, and we were a little discouraged and hoping that you were still on task. And we are still hopeful that the project is coming along, and all the concerns that you were mentioning before regarding the master plan with parking or with other sports or anything like that, it doesn't seem like we had any of those issues when we were doing those preliminary meetings looking at the master plan back in the summer. You mentioned that the water runoff for the skate park would help mitigate the runoff from water into the drainage system that is there at the Washington Park parking lot. You also mentioned that there is ample ground that we can work with there, just cutting down trees and such for the skate park. Just me hearing this now, I'm just a little concerned with the dilemmas that you mentioned before that we wouldn't have to face. That how come those questions or concerns were never addressed when Steve and I have tried to email you numerous times and haven't gotten any emails or calls or voicemails back. It is a little disconcerting because this past weekend I just went to a skate park down in Hillsborough that Steve just mentioned that they finished building a new bowl, and it is absolutely amazing. And skating that just made me more eager to get this done and try to light a fire under a few people in town just to get the project a little more up and running and everything. So I am hopeful that the RFP will be finished soon, that we can move forward with this project, and can Steve and I hold you accountable to a week?
You can't hold them accountable, we can hold them accountable, you cannot hold them accountable.
we'll hope that we can have some sort of.
And our biggest hurdle is going to be the money. Just because
Well, yeah,
we got the
of course.
RFP finished does not mean that next year there's going to be a skateboard.
That's not necessarily true because Bayonne Skate Park built their skate park in a year and 10 months to the day when they built their park.
Did
And it's all
have the money set aside already in their budget?
no, they had to work with the town to do it and prove themselves to get the park built and everything like that and make the appeals to the town and to local businesses as well. They didn't get all the money from the town, it was from local businesses and private donations and things of that nature. And so, I mean, once people hear that the RFP is a good go and that we could start meeting with designers, and then when people see the actual concept of what it can look like and people can get their feedback, then the money is going to be there. Dave Sippel, who is also on the committee, has mentioned that he has multiple people lined up for multi-$1,000 donations for the skate park because they would like to see it ready. And we think that that is huge because we're just standing idly by at some points, and we do wish that this would happen. There's parks being built in Bayonne, where else? Bayonne, Stanwood, Ocean City, all these towns that have amazing, beautiful skate parks. And we've been working on this project for 10 years on and off, and it was a little disconcerting, and we just hope that everyone here on the city council and everyone in town sees that this is a worthwhile endeavor and that it is beneficial to the town.
Jordan, we're town council, not city council.
Sorry. Well, I think it's a cool
Okay,
city.
and I've always said this, and I will say it again, government works very,
I'm aware, yes.
I mean, snail slow.
Yes.
And to be clear, so you understand the position that I'm in.
Yes, yeah.
The $25,000 appropriation that the council made for the engineering component of this was based on information that I received from the committee. I mean, it's not information that the township solicited. The committee, did a lot of work and went out and got information, and so the $25,000 we believed was sufficient. So when we come up with an RFP and the feedback I get from actual engineering firms says that that's actually going to cost $50,000, it doesn't do me any good to advertise that RFP because there's not enough money to move forward. So I'm sorry that we are now 6 months behind where we thought we were, or 6 weeks behind where we thought we were going to be. But we'd be much further behind had we not taken a step back and attempted to adjust the RFP to be within the $25,000 threshold.
Of course, yeah.
So
But I, at the same time, we also wish that we could have gotten some feedback from you also on that point. I mean, it's been since September, October time, and we haven't heard much. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm aware that you are busy with other projects in town, but just a little heads up would have helped with our project. And I understand that you are busy. I'm not trying to downplay what you do in town. It's huge, fixing the roads in town and the sewers and everything. It's fantastic, but.
Do you know we went through a major radio change here?
No, I am. Yes, I know. Steve and I have been to the meetings where you guys have talked about that and concerned with the town.
It took a lot of time out of Dave's schedule.
I'm aware. Yes.
Okay, so it's not like he's trying to blow you off.
No. I'm aware, but it's just that I know we just kind of feel like we're a little left out in the dark sometimes. And
okay, I'm sure Kathy can get you information if you need information.
Okay.
Or if you want to stick around after the meeting, I'll be happy to kind of walk you through some of the very specific tasks that I've gone through.
Okay.
Well, I think that would be helpful, maybe not even tonight, but whenever it is, because the project, it's changed a little because of where it is, because of the environmental issues. And they were not part of the original investigation as to what things would be. And that happens. Things happen when projects move along, things are discovered. So we're all good. We just, have to keep moving forward, just keep talking to each other. Yep. When something breaks down, it's always communication. I don't care what the topic is, it's always communication. So that's why you came forward and you got the answers. We're all on the same page.
I'm just addressing my concerns as a taxpayer.
And I'm trying to explain, the process that we've
I understand.
to go through. So
Completely understand.
Again, feel free to stop by. If I missed an email, I apologize, but I have responded to a couple different council people, so.
That's fine. I understand.
Well, I think you two should talk, really, the committee and the chair, and with Dave too, especially to make sure that the appropriate engineers and the appropriate things are being said and something isn't missed, that we get further down the line and somebody says, oh, that's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted, that wasn't right, that's not right.
Absolutely.
So it's a good idea that before anything goes out, you need to really be together and talk about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, next on the agenda is public hearing, and there's no public hearing scheduled for this evening. And next is ordinances for introduction, and there's no ordinances scheduled. Next on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Beginning with Resolution R 2016-199, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. 2016-200, authorizing the reinstatement of a special assessment installment payment plan. 2016-201, certifying there are no objections to the issuance of an alcoholic beverage control social affair special permit for the Pequannock Township First Aid and Rescue Squad. 2016-202, certifying there are no objections to the issuance of an alcoholic beverage control catering permit for Capital District LLC, doing business as Anchor Restaurant. That's in association with the permit that comes next, the event permit. 2016-203, approving the designated special event permit application for the American Costa Rican bull riding event. 2016-204, confirming the designated memberships in the Pequannock Township Fire Department. 2016-205, establishing the date of the 2017 reorganization meeting. 2016-206, authorizing an emergency appropriation for the operation of a food concession stand at PV Park. 2016-207, authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks. 2016-208, authorizing execution of an employment contract with the township manager. And R 2016-209, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the December 9th, 2016 bill list.
Okay, is there any comments or
Yeah,
on the resolution from council?
yeah. We all agree with Dave's contract, correct? So we don't need to go into closed
No,
session.
I only put that on there just in case there was
Okay, all right.
anyone that had any questions or concerns.
Okay, that's number one. And we're having bull riding in the town?
Yes,
Gotta
we are.
ask.
I thought you were signed up for
Apparently we're having road riding.
rodeo.
Okay, what day is that? Because, oh, it's in here, I can figure it out, okay. No problem. I think I'll go bull riding.
They're gonna have it again in January.
Oh, that's gonna be ice bull riding, right? Snow bull riding, okay, yeah, I'm good.
Amateur that day too.
Yeah, I think I will.
Any comments? Kathy, are you listening?
No, I'm okay.
Real quick, I was just gonna ask Dave, and maybe it'll just be on the next one. On the 2016-204 with the two new members of Engine Company 2, is there a third name that got left off?
There are other names.
Oh, okay.
Carol and I have been attempting to work through a good workflow because they're, depending on the age and status of the person joining, there's a different sequence of events that has to occur.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain there are some members that we haven't actually formalized through our process, just because there's a lot of new faces at the firehouse and we haven't done many of these. So we're going to work backwards and make sure that we've covered everyone. These are the ones that we had, active and outstanding.
Okay.
There may be a couple more.
All right, I just want to make sure we didn't accidentally miss it, that's all.
If you're aware of someone who you haven't seen, just email me and I'll make sure that we.
Okay.
Joe Newsom became active regular fireman.
Yeah, I have a name for you, but I guess I'll email it to you. Is that what you want me to do?
And so we're, attendance, volunteers on the fire company is good right now? Membership?
There's been a steady stream of new members coming in over the last couple of years, so there are a lot of new faces, and I think that the first aid squad's in a similar situation, so.
Okay. And then my only other question was about the food concession stand. Now, that's because, just explain that a little bit, because we had to go in.
Yeah, for many years, we had a concessionaire, and the township was not involved. After a couple attempts to, the one concessionaire had some issues, they did not submit a bid, we re-advertised a couple times. We ended up taking it in-house without any information or knowledge about, the total value of services over the course of the season. We didn't know if it was 5,000 or 15,000. So we did that without making any real arrangements in the budget, but it's really a flow-through. We take money in and we spend money, but the budget needs to represent that. So this emergency really amends the budget to show that we took in, and we were within $1,800 of breaking even total. Over 17,000, I think the total now is.
Right.
Is this the first year or the second year?
That's
It's
what I
actually the
remember.
second year, but it's the first full year of doing everything soup to nuts.
Okay.
We did buy a couple pieces of new equipment, and I think we have a pretty good feel of how that works now.
So moving forward, that's,
Well, we'll have a recommendation in
Okay.
January, so.
okay.
If we-
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. No, we're good. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2016-199 to 2016-209.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Yes.
Ms. Winterfield?
Yes.
Mayor Cole?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is items for discussion. Interlocal service agreement with the Pequannock Township Board of Ed.
Okay, let's discuss.
So this is something we've been talking about with the board. It was actually subject of something we discussed at a joint study meeting. We got together with them. We think it's going to work out. I think they'll end up with much better service, and it provides us with a little bit of offset income. We set it up so it's inclusive of essentially everything except major repairs. We identify a dollar limit, so.
And this is mostly on their pickup trucks.
It's their administrative vehicles, not school buses.
Right.
It's not child transport. So administrative and maintenance, and they have a total of 6 vehicles between pickup trucks and a dump truck, small dump
Okay.
truck.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah,
great to try that.
Absolutely. I think it's a win-win for both organizations, so.
So
Do we need to do a resolution?
well, we'll
It's a
do
year
the
at a time.
agreement, we'll actually authorize it at the next meeting, I just wanted to discuss it first. We'll do it for 1 year, see how it goes, and if everything goes well, then we'll do a multi-year on renewal.
Okay,
Everyone's good with that?
it's a good deal.
Martin Berry House operating agreement?
Okay, so the information that you have in the agenda was the result of a couple meetings that we had with the Historic Society, sorry. And there's 2 pieces. The first one kind of shows what is the practice out there among other municipalities and historic societies or historic groups, how they handle certain things. And then we have the specific recommendation for who's going to be responsible for what components between us and our historic society for the Martin Berry House. After we discussed, we made a couple minor modifications, but this would end up being the basis of an agreement, administrative agreement going forward.
Which obviously they've also had input into.
Yeah, we've met on this. I think both sides are comfortable with who's responsible for what and so forth.
One recommendation is that someplace in here we state the contact at the society should not be chasing the head of the DPW. There should be a point contact.
Okay.
All these, whatever's needed, a steward contact rather than.
Right, should they contact the township manager, it should go through the township manager, or Chris, or, hey Chris, how you doing, man?
Sounds like buildings and grounds to me.
Yeah, I think Chris fits those shoes. Kathy and everyone's on that? These societies good with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's really, it's some good work,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, next one is carry-in, carry-out policy.
Okay, so we have a proposal supported by staff, and I believe that the advisory committee discussed this as well.
The Parks and Rec Advisory Board did discuss it. We thought it was interesting. You know, we don't know how it's gonna work out. As liaison to Open Space Advisory Board, I brought it up to them, and boy, were they upset. So it's up to the council.
Why would they be upset?
It's fine.
You want to come to the microphone and?
Sure. Oh, we have a spokesman here.
Yes,
We just happen to have.
One of the objections.
I'm a little, I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'd like to see how it worked maybe after 1 year, you know?
That's true, but at the present time, we have garbage cans there.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't use the garbage cans, and that's why I think this was all brought up, because our DPW guys have to go in and clean up. If you take the garbage cans away, you really think that people are gonna carry the stuff out, or they're just gonna leave it on the ground? That's what we were talking about. I mean, that's why garbage cans are there. If you get them to use the garbage cans, rather than leaving it on the ground so the DPW has to go in and clean it up.
I don't know if it
Why are
necessarily
we-
was for that. I think it was the amount of money that, and time that it's taking DPW
Right,
to
so-
go in and do the trash cans.
So what I have asked is that after an appropriate period, you know, 6 months or a year, at the end of, you know, next season, we kind of circle back and evaluate, you know, what the result was, so that we can, you know, determine how we're gonna go forward. Yeah, I think what we need to do is compare the cost that we're spending now of having to go out, maintain, empty, and still we pick up trash. I mean, it's not like there's no litter to be picked up. You know, that cost compared to the cost of picking up the litter that will likely result. But part of the onus is on recreation to promo the fact that we're now going to do carry in, carry out, and people are going to be responsible for that. So,
Okay, and if they're supposed to be responsible and they don't do it and they lay the trash on the ground, DPW is still gonna have to go in there and clean it up.
that's correct.
So, where are you saving?
It's
You're
probably,
saving a garbage can, as far as I can see.
But is that cost going to be less than what we're?
How long does it take a guy to empty a garbage can?
Well, when
I mean, if it's got a
when you have
plastic
as
bag in
many
it, you take
parks
the
as
bag
we
out,
do,
throw it in your truck.
We calculated the cost to be $25,000 a year.
Really?
I believe most people are considerate, and that when they see a garbage can, they say, oh, I can put my garbage in there. If they don't see a garbage can, they're gonna take it with them. That's just my feeling.
It does work in state
Yeah.
parks relatively well.
It gives them ownership of their park.
It could work, I guess I have a couple of questions. Is it that are they using the garbage cans or putting the wrong stuff in the garbage cans? I'm just curious.
Well, when we attempted to have
multiple.
multiple garbage cans for recycling and trash, that never worked well.
Right.
So that's not the issue.
There was never the
It's
correct
not-
thing in the right place.
It's not number of containers or recyclables versus garbage cans, okay.
And you have a combination. You have people who use the garbage cans and you have people who don't. I mean, the fact that the garbage cans are there require ongoing maintenance. They have to be emptied
Okay.
regularly. Yeah,
Right,
and that
otherwise you have
ends
to
up
be using
being,
the one, right.
you know, a significant part of the cost. There's litter, and we also pick up litter, and that becomes a cost on, you know, onto itself. So you've got two pieces, and so we don't know, but that's essentially the recommendation I'm getting from Recreation and, you know, Parks Maintenance is, let's try this and see if it ends up being more efficient.
So it's basically all the, like ball fields and parks and stuff, if you bring stuff in, you take it out.
it's not gonna be Washington Park,
Okay.
because there's too much trash there. It's gonna be.
It's
you know,
every place that we do not have food service. So
Right,
PB Park
okay.
will still have it, Washington with the snack stand,
Hillview.
And big
Hillview when
events,
the snack
yeah.
stand is open. Yeah, any place with food service will still have
Okay.
garbage.
Yeah, but if you go to Greenview Park and you bring a
So
lunch
the-
with
the-
you, take it.
The
stuff
biggest
in.
culprit then is
Good try.
Greenview Park. Is that right?
Greenville, Hillview Field, because the snack stand is not, I mean, the Hillview Field itself has garbage cans all, you know, on all four ball
On
fields.
Mountain too.
Mountainside.
Mountainside.
You gotta-
Mountainside.
Yeah. But you would think, like you said, most people would be respectful.
Yeah, most
You bring
people
a
would
bag
be
lunch with
respectful.
you,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
If
how
I
you
see a
communicate
garbage
that.
can, oh, that's convenient, let me put it in there. If I don't see a garbage can, I want to take it with me.
Yeah.
Some people empty
They
their
got it
cars
in
out.
there.
They just clean out their cars.
I hope
and
so.
put it in the
I
trash.
hope so.
I'll try it, but I will say I'm a little nervous about how
We
we
try it. I mean, what's wrong with trying it?
Just to mention on Parks and Rec Advisory Board, we're very optimistic about it. You know, we had good feelings about it. Somebody just went on a trip in Europe, and they said there was no garbage cans around. You know, the sites she visited, everything was carry in, carry out. As a Boy Scout leader, when we go like into Mountainside Park, you know, we make tons of garbage, but we carry it all out with us and take care of it that way. So if the rest of the town can adopt that kind of philosophy, I think we'd be much better off. But it's the whole question, the reason for the trial, will it be adopted that way? So I think it's a good try.
Are there a lot of,
education and communication.
are there a lot
Exactly.
of other towns that have that policy?
Well, state has it.
Yeah, we didn't really do a survey of towns.
Yeah.
Much larger park systems,
Yeah.
the state and the county, and, you know, much larger
Yeah,
parks
than
than
us,
we
yeah.
have use it successfully, so.
All right. Let's give it a
Thank
whirl.
you.
We'll give it a try.
Along with this, council would probably consider raising the fines for littering. If you go into states that have severe fines,
You gotta catch them doing it.
very, very minimum littering.
How do you
Like
care?
Dave's been in Colorado, and it's been a $2,000 fine for
It's very hard to
probably the
enforce
last
these
30
things.
years.
Yeah, it's hard to
It's
catch
hard
them.
to enforce these things, Jack.
Hard to enforce, but people see that sign, it has an effect.
You're either considerate or you're not considerate.
My only concern is when it comes to the pet cleanup.
No,
Take it with
pets
you,
are-
take that with them.
That's another subject.
You're gonna carry that around
Completely
for a
different
couple
issue.
hours?
You're already required to clean them
I know.
after your pet,
I
so.
know, But most of them probably do.
Okay.
All right, next on the agenda is reports and notices. Any comments or questions from council?
Nope.
Next on the agenda is manager's report, Mr. Holberg.
Relatively short tonight. You have an updated project status report. Evelyn Rusma will be our fair housing secretary. And the closing on Martin Berry House will take place after the first of the year. That's based on a request from the homeowner. That's all I have.
All right. Next on the, item on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
I don't think I have anything. We covered it all.
All right.
At least get it.
Councilman Phelan.
I don't have anything.
Councilman Vanderoff.
Just reminded the council that, you know, as we move forward with Martin Berry House, I think we still should push for that ownership of it. And you gotta put money in the budget this year for that.
You have to keep in mind that we have to put some money aside for
We
the
gotta
Martin
put money
Berry
aside,
House
and we're
because
gonna
it's,
have a,
right, or else you're gonna be,
DPW's gonna have a good sized bill. I don't know if it's gonna be recoverable through the county, but
Doubt it.
$15,000 to $20,000 was the estimate on cleanup, tree trimming, and all that work to get done probably immediately. So think about it in the budget, put some money away. That's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Littlefield.
Along with the Martin Berry thing, Ed has constantly had my ear about this, Dave, and I'd always talk to you about putting in a letter for the money to request for the construction plans. I do think it's a good idea. Because we only have to put a letter in, right, at first?
Yeah,
At least-
it's a letter of intent, and what I've told Ed is I'll even have the letter ready to go and sign, but
When we
I'm
close.
not gonna submit it until we
We own
actually
it, we own
close.
Yeah, well, we have to, end of January to put the letter in, I think, right? So we have time. I know I
Yes.
keep reassuring them that we have time. Yeah, we can work out all the details during the budget. I do think, you know, now that we're gonna close, we should be thinking about reaching out to volunteer groups too, about cleaning up, so that it's not so much of an expense too. There's always people looking, the scouts always looking for projects and different people, and we have lots of talent in town. Now it's time for the historic commission to really kick in and reach out. Once it closes, everybody's waiting for the closing,
yeah.
right? It's just like the skate park and the
Went already, went
fundraising,
already.
everybody's waiting for the bid, so it's like. And on another note, just as I was thinking here, and it's not for tonight, but just to mention is, we keep talking about, you know, economics, we talk about, you know, different parks and different things. At some point, council, maybe during budget or some workshop we have, there's gotta be some synergy between all this, the economic development, the zoning, the parks, the bike path, all that. We have to somehow just have a topic discussion about how this all intertwines.
I'm sorry, what is a bike path?
I know, I was afraid to say that, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry. It'll come, that's it.
That's it.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I'll tell my granddaughter.
I just,
One more question.
Oh, go ahead.
Did we ever, on the historic preservation report, I asked about getting amendment for the roof down the road, so we don't have to redo a plan? Did we ever get that?
Do you remember?
We might have, I can look.
Okay.
Yeah, did we get the approval
I
back
know
from
we talked about it.
Chang too? Was there anything,
The-
didn't we submit our preservation plan?
So it's in there.
We got the approval back?
15 years, yeah.
Oh, all right.
We don't have to redo a
So we
plan.
don't have to change it.
We get it when the day comes.
the only thing I have is December 27th is our next council meeting, and we're going to hold a special meeting at 6 o'clock to discuss the committees and volunteers. If that's okay with everyone, I think everyone said
Just to
it would
wrap
be-
it up, right?
Be okay, just to wrap it up. Other than that, I don't have anything. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. We'll see you on the 27th.
Okay, see you.
Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record. Frank? I got one more thing to say about that carry in and carry out.
Uh-oh.
A man who is never lost for words.
Frank Spazzieri, 35 West Franklin. I just come up to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's already prosperous, check the stock market, it's already
Are we doing
prosperous.
Oh, never mind. What's next?
Anyone else? Next on the agenda are minutes for approval, November 8th, 2016.
That was a good
Are
one.
there any comments on these minutes?
That was a good day.
No,
Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda,
You check the
are
stock
there
market.
items for closed session? There is something on, so is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make, second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Actually, 9:30 to 9:30.